Hey Raiders fans, we're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. That way, you'll always stay up to date with breaking news and exclusive content. The rumor that has started to circulate around the Raiders organization feels like one of those stories that begins as a whisper in the hallway and suddenly turns into a full-blown storm. According to people who claim to be close to the situation, head coach Pete Carroll allegedly reached a breaking point behind closed doors and let emotions take over in a way few expected. The explosive phrase attributed to him, saying he never wanted Max Crosby in the building again, has ignited conversations across the league, even if no one can officially confirm it. The idea alone is shocking because Crosby has long been viewed as the emotional engine of the defense, a relentless presence whose intensity defined the identity of the Raiders in recent seasons. When a coach known for energy and positivity is rumored to explode like this, it immediately raises questions about what truly happened inside the locker room. Sources suggest that this was not about one practice or one disagreement, but rather a buildup of tension, clashing philosophies, and frustration that simmered quietly until it boiled over. In speculative conversations, insiders describe a growing disconnect between leadership vision and player influence, creating an environment where respect began to erode, whether exaggerated or not. The rumor paints a picture of an organization at a crossroads, facing the uncomfortable reality that strong personalities sometimes collide in destructive ways. As the speculation deepens, the narrative becomes less about a single outburst and more about the broader crisis surrounding the Raiders. Those close to the team claim that Pete Carroll's arrival brought a new culture, one focused on discipline, long-term structure, and emotional balance, while Max Crosby embodies raw fire, outspoken leadership, and an old-school Raiders mentality. In theory, those qualities should complement each other, but rumors suggest the opposite happened. The coach reportedly felt undermined, believing that Crosby's influence in the locker room sometimes outweighed his own authority. On the other side, whispers suggest that Crosby felt unheard, convinced that his commitment and production earned him a stronger voice in team decisions. This clash of egos, if true, created an invisible divide that teammates could feel but not openly address. Practices allegedly grew tense. Conversations became shorter, and body language spoke louder than words. Even without public confirmation, the idea that such a fracture could exist forces fans to rethink what they see on the surface. A team can talk about unity and culture, but rumors like this suggest that beneath the surface, unresolved conflict can quietly poison momentum. In the world of professional football, perception often becomes reality, and this story is already reshaping how people view the Raiders' internal stability. Another layer of speculation revolves around the timing of this supposed explosion. Some insiders claim it came during a critical evaluation period, when the coaching staff was reassessing roles, expectations, and long-term plans. In that context, emotions tend to run high, especially when a star player feels his legacy and future are being questioned. Pete Carroll is rumored to have emphasized accountability over reputation, a message that may not have landed well with someone like Crosby, who prides himself on relentless effort and leadership by example. The alleged statement about never wanting him around again is seen by many as symbolic rather than literal, representing a moment of pure frustration rather than a calculated decision. Still, words carry weight, especially when spoken by a head coach. The locker room, according to speculative accounts, went silent afterward, with players unsure how to process what they heard. Silence in a locker room can be more damaging than shouting, because it signals confusion and fear. This rumor has fueled debates about whether strong coaching requires confrontation or calm dialogue, and whether modern locker rooms can survive explosive leadership moments. Even if exaggerated, the story taps into a deeper truth about how fragile trust can be in a high-pressure environment. The crisis narrative gains even more traction when people revisit Max Crosby's journey and personality. Coming from Eastern Michigan, drafted later than many stars, he built his reputation on grit, resilience, and a chip on his shoulder that never disappeared. Rumors say that this background shaped his intolerance for what he perceives as disrespect or doubt. If a coach, no matter how accomplished, questions his role or approach, Crosby is rumored to respond with intensity rather than quiet acceptance. In speculative retellings, some claim that teammates often rallied around him because they saw his passion as authentic. Others, however, allegedly felt exhausted by the constant edge, wondering if it sometimes crossed into distraction. Pete Carroll, known for managing strong personalities, may have believed he could channel that energy, but rumors suggest he underestimated how deeply ingrained Crosby's mindset was. When two strong wills meet without compromise, conflict becomes almost inevitable. This rumor has become a case study in how personal history, pride, and ambition intersect in professional sports. Fans are left asking whether this situation represents a failure of communication, a mismatch of philosophies, or simply an unavoidable collision of alpha personalities. Speculation also touches on how management might be reacting behind the scenes. Some believe the front office is stuck between loyalty to a star player and commitment to a new coaching vision. The Raiders, historically, have embraced rebellious figures, players who symbolize defiance and toughness. Max Crosby fits that image perfectly, making the idea of pushing him aside feel almost sacrilegious to some fans. On the other hand, investing in a head coach like Pete Carroll implies trust in his system and leadership style. Rumors suggest internal meetings filled with cautious language, where executives avoid taking sides while quietly assessing long-term implications. The fear, according to speculative chatter, is that choosing wrong could set the franchise back emotionally and culturally. A divided locker room can spiral quickly, and once trust is broken, repairing it becomes incredibly difficult. This uncertainty feeds the crisis narrative, making every silence from the organization feel louder than any statement. Even without official confirmation, the rumor has already influenced how supporters interpret every move, every interview, and every subtle shift in tone. As the story continues to evolve in the rumor mill, the emotional impact on the fan base cannot be ignored. Raiders fans are known for their loyalty, but also for their sensitivity to perceived disrespect toward players who embody the team's identity. Hearing that a coach might not want Max Crosby around anymore strikes a nerve, regardless of whether the quote is accurate. Speculation spreads faster than facts, and in this case, it has fueled debates, arguments, and emotional reactions across social platforms. Some fans side with the coach, arguing that no player should be bigger than the system. Others defend Crosby passionately, viewing him as the heart of the team. This polarization reflects the deeper crisis suggested by the rumor. When a franchise's identity feels threatened, emotions take over logic. Even if the situation is eventually clarified, the damage done by uncertainty can linger. In the end, this first wave of speculation paints a picture of a team wrestling with its soul, torn between tradition and transformation, passion and control, star power and structured leadership. The second part of this speculative saga dives deeper into the potential consequences of this rumored explosion. If the relationship between Pete Carroll and Max Crosby truly reached a breaking point, the ripple effects could be massive. Insiders speculate that trust, once fractured, is nearly impossible to fully restore in a professional locker room. Even if both sides attempt to downplay the situation publicly, players are said to have long memories. Every interaction afterward is filtered through doubt, every instruction questioned internally. In this narrative, Crosby might feel scrutinized, believing that any mistake confirms preconceived doubts about him. Meanwhile, Carroll could feel challenged, sensing that his authority is constantly being tested. This silent standoff, according to rumors, creates an unhealthy environment where performance suffers not because of lack of talent, but because of emotional fatigue. Football demands unity, and when unity cracks, even the strongest rosters struggle to maintain consistency. The idea of a coach and defensive leader operating on different emotional wavelengths raises concerns about long-term stability. Speculation suggests that this tension could eventually force a decision, not immediately, but gradually, as patience wears thin on both sides. Another angle of speculation centers on how teammates might be reacting privately. Some whispers suggest that players are split, unsure whether to align themselves with the coach's authority or the star defender's passion. This kind of division, even subtle, can be devastating. In the rumored accounts, younger players feel caught in the middle, learning early that professional football is not just about performance, but politics and personalities. Veterans, meanwhile, are said to be quietly observing, weighing how this situation might affect their own futures. When leadership appears fractured, uncertainty spreads like a virus. Even if practices continue normally, the emotional undercurrent shifts. Speculation paints scenes of awkward silences, cautious conversations, and an unspoken rule to avoid certain topics. This environment drains energy, making every day feel heavier. The Raiders, a franchise that thrives on intensity, may find that intensity turning inward in destructive ways. This rumor forces observers to consider how fragile team chemistry truly is and how quickly it can unravel when egos collide. The long-term implications, as imagined by league observers, could stretch far beyond one season. If the rumored conflict becomes impossible to manage, it may influence future roster decisions, coaching stability, and even the team's reputation among players. Some speculate that free agents pay close attention to how organizations handle internal disputes. A narrative of chaos, even if exaggerated, can discourage talent. On the flip side, others argue that decisive leadership can attract players who crave structure. This rumor puts the Raiders at a crossroads in perception. Are they a franchise willing to stand firm behind a coach's vision, or one that prioritizes star players at all costs? Neither answer is inherently wrong, but inconsistency is. Speculation suggests that uncertainty is the real enemy here. Without clarity, rumors grow, narratives harden, and reputations suffer. The alleged explosion becomes less about anger and more about symbolism, representing a franchise struggling to define itself in a changing league landscape. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Max Crosby's personal response, at least in rumor, adds another dramatic layer. Some claim he feels deeply betrayed, believing his loyalty and effort were not reciprocated. Others speculate that he is fueled by this perceived rejection, using it as motivation rather than discouragement. Both interpretations fit his known intensity. The danger, according to speculative voices, is that unchecked emotion can either elevate performance or consume it. Without a strong communication bridge, misunderstanding thrives. If Crosby believes he is unwanted, his connection to the team weakens emotionally, even if he continues to perform physically. This emotional distance can be subtle but powerful, affecting how he leads, how he speaks, and how he connects with teammates. Rumors suggest that such a shift has already been felt, with his usual fiery presence taking on a sharper edge. In professional sports, emotional alignment matters as much as physical preparation, and this rumor highlights how quickly that alignment can be disrupted. Pete Carroll's side of the story, as imagined by insiders, is equally complex. Known for his optimism and player-friendly approach, an alleged explosion feels out of character, which is why the rumor has gained so much traction. Some speculate that this moment represents accumulated frustration, not just with Crosby, but with broader challenges within the organization. In that light, the quote becomes less personal and more reflective of a coach under pressure to impose order. Speculation suggests that Carroll may believe that setting boundaries, even harshly, is necessary to reset culture. However, the risk is that such a move alienates key figures whose buy-in is essential. The balance between authority and empathy is delicate, and this rumored incident symbolizes how easily it can tip. Whether fair or not, the perception of losing control can haunt a coach, especially in a franchise craving stability. Ultimately, this speculative crisis leaves the Raiders at an emotional and philosophical crossroads. Even if the rumored quote is denied or softened, its impact lingers because it touches on real tensions that exist in many teams. Fans, players, and analysts are left reading between the lines, searching for signs of reconciliation or escalation. The story has become bigger than a single outburst, evolving into a symbol of internal struggle. In the absence of clear answers, imagination fills the gaps, often in dramatic ways. This rumor reminds everyone that football is not just about schemes and strength, but about human relationships under extreme pressure. Whether this crisis becomes a turning point or a cautionary tale depends on how the Raiders navigate the emotional fallout. For now, the speculation continues to swirl, painting a picture of a franchise wrestling with itself, caught between fire and control, loyalty and authority, tradition and transformation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.